necessarily the case that relationship with the opposite sex has to become an obstacle for your well-being. One thing that every relationship, regardless of whether it's the opposite sex or not, is that in a way it functions like a mirror. They hold up a mirror for you to be able to recognize what are your blind spots, what are your limitations, what are so many different mental projections that you throw upon others. And it's a great opportunity for self-inquiry, if only it is approached in a conscious manner. The only problem, though, is that most of our motivation for getting involved in a relationship is for the sake of pleasure, and we are expecting the other person to fulfill certain expectations that we demand upon them. So because that has a higher priority in our mind, we tend to become forgetful of approaching this as a conscious process and turning it into a method for self-knowledge. So it's really a question of how are you approaching the relationship. This is just like that tantric maxim which I may have told you about, where the very poison that kills becomes the elixir of life when it's used by the wise. So that is the case with every single condition of your life, but especially with the opposite sex, because of the hormones in the body and the way that the chemistry just overwhelms the brain, that can really hinder your clear judgment. Unlike anything else, anything sexual related, because it's so ingrained in the body, it has such a strong hold over the mind. So that is one major problem with handling the opposite sex, and which is why most of the time you just get drunk and intoxicated in the process. Which is fine. Look, you want to get intoxicated, by all means go forth, get intoxicated. I think there's a way to get intoxicated. It may sound strange, but there's a way to get intoxicated without losing your balance. If only
if you know you're getting intoxicated.
Well, mind is an intoxication, isn't it?
Yeah.
The subjective projections of the mind onto reality. It is an intoxication. It is a dream of sorts, right?
Because I knew that. Okay, like you're going to indulge. You know this isn't real.
That's not enough, just simply to know it intellectually. The question is, how capable are you of maintaining your balance? Have you trained your system in such a way to handle this sort of situation gracefully? Because regardless of whether you agree or disagree, regardless of what is the inclination of your intellect, what are your beliefs and what you value or do not value, the fact remains at the end of the day that you will respond to situations based on what is the programming of the body and the mind, which will be very instinctive. If a person, if he has trained his system in such a way, unknowingly, that it's instinctive for him to become stressful and fearful and filled with anxiety, then that is exactly what the result will be. So, in other words, the influence, if you want to put it in yogic terminology, the influence of the past karmas that are acting in your life in the present moment. That is why there's no greater guru. If you want a guru to listen to, there is no greater guru than to learn to observe what's happening in your immediate experience. Because everything that's happening in the here and now is just a recycling of the past, right? The body is a result of the past in the present. Mind is a result of the past in the present. Your personality is a result of the past in the present. All of this is karma. So if I were to tell you just eliminate karma from your life, you won't have much of a life left. Like you hear this talk about transcending karma as if it's something that needs to be annihilated. This is such a major misunderstanding, because if we annihilate all your karma, which is memory of the body, memory of the mind, you will not have much of a life left. The key is to be capable of living in the body, yet you're not of the body, in the mind, yet not of the mind. And the only thing that really turns these karmas into a nuisance in your life is the same thing we've talked about so many times. There's only one major nuisance in your life. Well, three actually, which is egotism. Out of egotism comes attachment. And these two have their origins in just plain ignorance of who who you really are.
Mm.
So, to learn to observe the karmic substance of the mind without becoming identified, you observe the thought without attaching the idea of I, me, or mine. If you can just subtract this one ingredient from your experience, oh, the doors to your liberation will be wide open.
So